All right, it worked. Hello, hello. I'll wait till everyone gets here. I uploaded a video earlier. More quartzite. You can see the translucency finally. The other one did on the live stream. Hey, Mike Tufts is here. Hey, how's it going? Brennan's here. Very good. We're live and we're on air. Except there's some glare on the on air from somewhere. Alan Cole. Yeah, I got a fancy neon sign. I got to figure out how to make that glare go away, though. Anyways, who do we got? Noah's here. UMB, we're on. Cool. Yep. We are live. No live napping on Friday nights, though. Friday night is for goofing around. And questions, of course. Always questions. Yeah, my neighbors are looking into my window. Yeah. They're going to see the opposite. They're going to see Rhino, right? Riano. Let's see. Brennan's here. Had to stop watching the quartzite video to attend the live. Yep. Alan Cole. I decided to wait for summer weather before I head out to the Buttes. Okay. Awesome. That's a good plan. Yeah. Just play it safe. Yeah. So this quartzite point is from the last video just now. And it was tough. Tough material. And it's got lumps in it. But I'm going to offer these two together in the auction. The one from the other live stream Wednesday, and then this one here. I did some napping earlier today, but it's not for the auction or for a video. Sometimes I do stuff that's a project. Let's see. Brennan says, did some rock collecting. Awesome. Steven Stacy, hey all. Was watching the quartzite video also. Yeah. I got that one in just in time. Yeah, the on-air sign takes you back to another TV show. Hit the like button. We got 12 people. Got one like. Only one person likes it now. I know. I think I know who it is too. Let's see. Tommy Taylor's here. Keith Ricketts is here. What did I miss? Yeah. Yeah, they just came in the mail today. This little on-air sign. What is it? It's got a reflection on it. Where is it coming from? I don't know. See it right there? Something's reflecting somewhere. I don't know where it is. And it's red here when I'm looking at it, but it's white over there. Something's screwy. Something's messed up. Let's see. Justin's here. I knew that video was going to cause me to miss the beginning of the live stream. Well, you only missed actually nothing because it's not even 8 o'clock yet. I started early because it won't upload properly. Yeah, the live streams are never uploading properly. I've got to wait. What I do is I start the live stream video process, then I hit go live, and I have to wait there And it doesn't go live. So I had to cancel everything out and delete the video that pops up in everybody's feed and then start over again. Yeah. And then it works. Yes, the letters look white, but there's a red hue. Yeah. There is red around it, but it's actually a red sign. It's not white. Dude, your quartzite point is awesome. Thanks, Jesse. The reflection off the window. Yeah, it might be the window. Let me see. What do I got to put behind it? There, someone solved the mystery. Who was it that recommended? Alan? Yeah. I gotta put something behind it. There. You're right. It reflects off the window. Let's see. I started watching the video, but got interrupted by your live stream, so I'll have to wait until after the keep watching. Fixed. Yeah, that worked. Ellen is a wizard. Ellen knows. Yes, he does. Yeah. So let's see. Nothing special going on, right? This weekend, as far as holidays go or anything. Yeah. I've got to do a lot of errands. Now that the weather's good, I see all the junk in the backyard. I got to throw a bunch of junk away. But I got a trailer now. I got a little utility trailer. Yeah, Jesse says smash the like button. Yeah, 9 more people smashed the like button since the last time I checked. Jim Main's here. Hello, everyone. Love the sign. Thanks. I got to put it back on. I put some cardboard behind it because it was creating a glare, creating some glare on it. Jesse, $10 super chat or whatever you call them. Right? Is it a super chat or is it I forget what they're called now. Thank you. $10. Gas money. Yes. I calculated my van actually is not good on gas. I was sitting there calculating how much gas it's going to take because I got to drive my van down to Texas this time. And I'm planning on leaving it there and then driving a moving truck up with some of my stuff that is still in storage down in Texas. And my van, compared to the car, compared to my dad's car, is almost twice as much for gas. Well, it's about 75% more. Helen says, I fix animals by trade, but I have to fix many tools from time to time. Interesting. I'm trying to think, what did I get for questions lately? Anything interesting? Let's see. Go to my community on my YouTube studio. Yeah, okay, someone commented on the video today, the quartzite video. Well, we got two comments. Someone is asking me about material. That's not. Wait a second here. That's not something I can answer right now. Let's see. Mud rock. Someone calls some of the rock that I had in a rock challenge mud rock. Is there such a thing as mud rock or mud? I know there's mudstone, but what does mud rock mean? Let's see. Yeah, there was not. I thought I saw a good question. I don't know where I saw the good question. Someone didn't think that that goldstone glass was snapping halfish, but it is. They didn't think it was going to be that way. Luckily, it did not snap in half on me. The goldstone stuff. I have another piece somewhere. I just don't know where I put it. Let's see. Oh yeah, people are asking me about copper. Where do I get the copper? I don't have any. I never seen anything like it. What are you using? What is it? What kind of copper? I looked through the whole internet and didn't see any copper. Yeah, you forgot eBay. Let's see, what did I miss? Peter, I keep forgetting that I don't need to get dressed to join the stream. Yeah. Yeah. I shaved a little bit today. I used to shave right down to I just buzzed a little. I had this cheater shaver that it's kind of like a trimmer for sideburns and stuff and a beard, but I use it to shave with. And I still got stubble. I used to shave all the way down, s- uh, the whole stubble, but you can't even see. Let's see. JF Baird says I almost forgot. How's it going? Brennan says that's a good question. All right. If he answers, I'd be interested to know. Okay. What's the question? Where is Rye? I didn't see. I got to go back. What did I miss? I didn't see anything. Let's see. Looks like the live stream is growing. I see new names here each night. Yeah, there's some. Either they're not shy and they begin to comment, or they get over their shyness and they're beginning to comment, or they're brand new. Let me know. Let me know if you've just now commented, but you've always watched the live streams in the background. If that's you, or if not, just tell me what you do or what you did. Yeah, Brennan says that's a good question, Rye. If he answers, I'd be interested to know. So, what's the question? I missed it, and I can't see it when I go back in the comments. Okay, here it is. Rye asked the question: if you could nap one material for the rest of your life, which would it be? It would be opaque, jet black, buttery obsidian. Yep, that's the one I'd nap for the rest of my life. Jet black obsidian, not translucent at all. No stripes, no bands in it, no red in it. Just black, buttery, no defects, none of those little pockets of whatever it is in there, and buttery. Because that tends to be in my dreams when I dream about napping. There's always a black buttery material that I'm after, and I can never find it, or I find it, but I can never get it back to my house. And why would I want to nap that? It's the easiest on my tools and the easiest to see the flakes, comparatively speaking. And if I get a flake in my skin, it's not like the high grade obsidian that will go deep. For some reason, the opaque obsidian and the dacite doesn't penetrate as deep as the high grade obsidian. And you might ask, what about all the cherts and the agates and the beautiful heat treats? Those are number two. You asked me to pick the best one. Let's see. Jesse says, I see lots of the usual suspects here. Happy Friday, guys. I bought a trio of spalls on Amazon, dacite, novaculite, and mahogany. Who is selling those 10-pound boxes? That's a good question. Who's selling the 10-pound boxes? Uh, Alan Cole says, Patrick would choose dacite. Yeah. But it's not quite the dacite. It's a little bit, it's in between dacite and obsidian. It's slick, black, buttery obsidian. I consider it obsidian because it's very slick, very shiny. And I like the higher grade. I only had I only had a few pieces of that up until this year. I got a bunch this year or this past year, and I think I like it the best. There's various grades of dacite and various grades of that opaque obsidian stuff. So I got to be picky. Let's see. Jesse says my guess is black butter. Yeah, it does. The nickname for it is black butter, but many things qualify as black butter. It's got to be the good stuff, and not the snap and halfish stuff. Not bull gravel. No, 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 not the bull gravel. Let's see. Now, if I had to nap, what's the most difficult to nap? But I mean, I'm going to ask my own question here. What is the most difficult to nap, but I could live with stone for the rest of my life? Um, if I had nothing else, I'm trying to think here. It's a toss up between Georgia Flint River chert, that yellow stuff, that coastal plains chert, raw, or let's see, what else? Not Georgetown, not root beer, but difficult to nap and something I could live with for the rest of my life. I think it would be that Flint River. Yeah, Georgia Flint River chert or a coastal plains chert. Yeah. It's difficult to nap because it's unpredictable. It naps well when it wants to. And I would nap it if I had to just nap it raw. That would be the one that I would nap. Let's see. What did I miss? Jim Cooper says, "Hey, sorry I missed Wednesday's stream. I had some appointments. I'm running late. Patrick, I couldn't find my books about marine mammal harpooning. I think they're still in storage." Okay. Marine mammal. Oh, you mean otters and stuff? Or are you talking about dolphins and manatees and or seals? Because there's two different classes of animals. There's seals and otters, and then there's manatees and dolphins and stuff. Which ones are you talking about? All of the above. I'm talking about everything, dude. Yeah, I was afraid of that. But they've got specialized harpoons for otters and seals and manatees and whales and dolphins. And I've seen a lot of different barbs, but not on the points themselves. So let's see. What else did I miss? Let's see. Jim Cooper says, but I did find mention of the single stone barb harpoon point in my Overstreet book and emailed you a photo of them. You emailed me a photo. Okay. Okay, so I need to see. I see that. These are made of bone, I think, or something like that. Okay, let's see if we can show this. The one on top there, that's broken. It's not a single barb, that's broken. And it's made of bone or something. That one right there with the hole in the middle, that's broken. That's why it looks that way. All right? Same with this one with the hole in it. That one's broken too. So it's not just that one that's broken. There's a broken barb on this 3-barb point. These are all bone. Well, not all bone. There's a toggle tip. This one is stone. Let me see. Let me adjust the brightness. There is what they call a toggle tip. Let me see. I zoomed in. It does look asymmetrical, right? They're calling that a toggle tip. So if and that one there looks like it's asymmetrical as well. Now whether that's intentional asymmetry or not is hard to tell. I'm going to see if those are actual size because those are very tiny. It says late archaic to historic phase. I need to look those up because if those indeed are harpoon tips and uh, not just like maybe part of a system that is more than one part for that tip, then I was wrong about the single barb. But it looks like there's varying degrees of symmetry on those, and there are some broken things. Where's my overstreet? And I would need to see. I would like to see how those are hafted on there. Anyways, what did I miss? Ooh, I missed a lot. Let's see. Tommy Taylor says, everyone name your state or county, y'all, to see how far it is. Okay, hold on. Everyone name your state or county, y'all, from to see how far it reaches. I go first. Tennessee. Jim Cooper says, Tommy, I'm in Washington. Mike Tufts, Ohio. Brennan, Indiana. Bill Henson, New Jersey. UMB, Ohio. Michael Dicus, Montana. Jim Maine, Southeast Missouri. Stephen Stacy, Mississippi. Justin Cornelius, Iowa. Jesse, Phoenix, Arizona. John Turner, Central Texas. JF Bear, Georgia Swirl. I guess you answered something else. I don't like Georgia Swirl as much as Georgia Butterscotch. Brennan says, I love how raw Pedernales feels and raw Flint River Swirl. A guy named Does That Stink? He's from Nebraska. Scott Lauer, hey. Jim Cooper, otters and seals. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. No dolphins and manatees up here. All righty. Keith Ricketts, Florida. Mike Mason, yeah, I put you on background at work Monday and Wednesday, and Friday I am driving. I try to comment where I can. Yeah, don't be commenting too much while driving. Jim Cooper, Wales, yes, though. Yeah, Wales in the Pacific Northwest for sure. Red-Eyed Patriots here. You like the on-air light? Cool. It was actually not that expensive. Jim Cooper says, I took page photos, then zoomed in photos showing what I am talking specifically. Okay. Let's see. I didn't see. Oh, okay. Let me see. I guess I hadn't downloaded all the info. So you zoomed in coastal areas and around large lakes and rivers. Description, harpoon points. I can't read that. Yeah, it's some fashion for metal. They were used in fishing. Some have stone tips and were hafted either something Lee to the shaft or inserted as a foreshaft. I gotta look in the actual book, I guess. Okay, I see a stone tip on the very tip of one of the harpoon tips. So it's a composite But that little barb sticking out, it's not going to do anything if it's hafted in that way. That won't catch on anything. It just it's just going to cause a little bit more bleeding, I suppose. Okay, my email's acting up. Let's see. See, I don't know if those are used. See, how can you fish with something that large and a little stone tip? If you hit a fish with that, you're going to create a large wound, and that tip is not going to hold in that wound. You know what I'm saying? So either that's not mounted to the correct tip, or we're missing something. See, the stone might not be part of that harpoon. The hard thing to know is if they're actually reassembling these parts correctly. I've seen instances where they didn't reassemble them correctly. Okay. Brennan says, "Hey, Scott." Jesse says, "Mike, I'm like you. I'm always working, suturing live stream except Friday, party time." The next page shows one hafted. Yeah. West Virginia mountains. Let's see, Brennan. Nobody's west of the Great Divide, says Justin. I'm way behind here. As for Corn's here, Peter's here. Let's see, Jesse, Pat. When you go to Knapping, will you take some footage and share for us later? Yeah, I'll take some footage at the Knapping. Yep. Tom McCorkle from Nevada. As for Corn is from Louisiana. Mike Mason from Southern Illinois. Alan Cole is from Oregon. Noah Merritt, Davidson County, Tennessee. Peter, we seem to be neighbors. These neighbors with Ask for Corn. Interesting. Mike Mason says, "Ask for Corn, you're near my mom." JF Baird, I'm in Texas, but you know that. Yep. Ask for Corn says, "I've been to Nebraska. Trust me, it stinks." Jesse says, "Keith, you getting that good Florida coral?" Yeah, good question. Who's got the good Florida coral stuff? The light is clutch. What does clutch mean? Red-eyed Patriot or Michael. The newer neon lights are fairly cheap. The old style is super expensive and it works on to work on or get fixed. Okay, yeah. This is one of those cheaper, but it should be red, but it's not. Um, Jim Cooper says they all shown at half size in the book. Okay. Stephen Stacy Patrick, going through my boxes of flint and rock large, not sure what's been heat treated. Is it safe to say if the outer cortex is chalky, it's been heat treated? I have to hit extra hard. No, you can't tell always from the outer cortex. If it's chalky, it's always chalky usually. Sometimes it gets darker or more red or more orange, but that's also not a reliable indicator. The only way you can tell it's heat treat is if you know what it looks like when it's not heat treated. Sometimes it doesn't even change, so you can't tell. In general, if it naps well and it's surprisingly napping well, it's either high grade raw or a heat treat or one of nature's heat treats like hornstone. Hornstone has been heated by nature underground. Let's see. Peter says maybe the harpoons are for seals. Yeah, I've seen seal harpoons. They have big barbs on them, and they're hit in the head. Well, there's two types of seal harpoons. One to hit the seal through a hole in the ice, and one to hit the seal while you're in a kayak. And they both have large barbs. If you're fishing through a hole, if you're sealing through a hole in the ice, you're going to hit the seal right in the face or in the head, and you need that large barb to catch the skin. As for Corn says he's almost always driving during the live stream. Oh dang. Let's see. Peter says, "Oh, okay, not for seals if it's in West Virginia." David Blaylock can't stay, but hello. Hey, he's from Oregon. Alan says, "Hello, all. You're late again." It's okay. As for Corn says, "Yeah, I'll be sure to tell her hello for you." Let's see. Okay, we're talking about where we're from, which is good. Ed Gould says, "Looks red to me." Yeah, there's a red outline to it, but the the letters look white to me in the viewfinder. Maybe it looks red to you. There's a red glow around everything in the video, in the viewfinder. Now, if I look back here, it's just all red. There's no white at all. But if I look here, it's all white with a red glow around it. Still cool. I like it. It worked out well. I just got to put that cardboard in the back a little bit better. I need to put some kind of backing on it permanently. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Clutch equals cool. Okay. Who else has heard of that term clutch equal to cool? That's the first time for me. Tommy Taylor, Peter Corn, and as for Corn, I was born in Louisiana. Okay. Jim Cooper. I've also seen examples in a museum from a place called the Ozette site at the very tip of northwest Washington, where the village was buried in a mudslide, and it preserved all the organics similar to Pompeii. Interesting, yeah. Peter, Tommy Taylor. I was born in California, but have been in NOLA since 2011. I missed something in here somewhere. Maybe not. Let's see. I'm having trouble with the comments again today. Only 19 likes? Well, that's up to 25. How far am I away from the... I'm like about 3 minutes behind. Hold on. Let me try to catch up with the comments. Hey, R. Snyder's here. Let's see here. Peter says, "Oh, maybe for otters then. Smaller critter, smaller barb." No, the otter harpoons that I've seen have multiple barbs, not just one. Let's see. As for Corn says, "I bought an awesome Polish AK underfolder while I was there." You were in Poland and you bought an AK underfolder? How'd you get it back here? Let's see. Or is it top secret? Tommy says, or you're talking about a city here in the U.S. The AKs are getting expensive. I can never find a cheap one. Although I don't want one, but I was looking for one not long ago, just out of curiosity. They used to be cheap, but now they're not. R. Snyder says, "Guys, I've got 2 videos to upload tonight or tomorrow." Styley Design says, "Hello." Killer Cork, hello, hello. Ed Gould, I'm still watching your last point video. Let's see. Jim Cooper, I might disagree, Patrick, because it would be cutting only at the tip. The top of the large barb is not sharpened. So while the wound may be enlarged, but it is not actively being cut. So the tiny barb, uh, let's move down here. There's no second part to that comment. Okay. Lebanon, Tennessee. A lot of guys from Tennessee. Okay. Uh, but it's not actively being cut. So the tiny barb would still have purchase in a wound because the top of the bone barb would be tight against the flesh of a wound, and the wound channel would still be narrow at the point where the stone barb is. Well, if you've ever tried it, you'll know that there's no what you call purchase in a wound with a barb that small. I've fished with barbs and I've shot with barbs, little critters with the barbs. You don't get purchase. Now, uh, I can see that using a small point on the tip of a bone point, a small piece of stone on the tip of a bone, increases the penetration value because it cuts through and pierces a hole much easier through a hide than a bone point. It facilitates the initial penetration of the hide, but to catch back up on the hide, it's not going to work. Even if it does, it just tears out. Even if it's shown half size in the book, it's still really small. It has to be a long barb. The only thing I can think of why they would put a long barb on it is so it would be cutting more or easier to haft somehow. But even so, it may not be properly assembled. I've got to check on that. Um, let's see. Yeah, I've tried barbed points on small barbed points on game and fish, and they do not catch when you're pulling them in. It does not catch. It has to be a very large barb and dull, preferably, so it doesn't cut its way out. Um, but yeah, I can see now that there are stone points that are asymmetrical, that are part of the barb um, assembly. No, part of the harpoon tip assembly. Yeah. Peter says AK got expensive because US stopped allowing shipping from Russia and Russia is using them. Ah, yeah, they're using up all their old weapons in Russia. That's what I heard. Kiowa's here. I love Pigeon Forge. David says, I went to the LBL last summer. It was awesome. R. Snyder, Patrick was asking us to shout out where we're from. I'm from southeastern Michigan. Aspercorn says, you should consider it just an engineer's take on the engineering of it, but it's brilliantly simple and reliable design. Simple is beautiful, and tolerance is next to godliness, too. Yeah. Should consider the AK, right? Let me see. Jesse says, I have this SKS that also shoots 7.62 by 39. Got the composite stock. I have a Chinese assault rifle similar to an SKS, but it's a small version. Is it Chinese? It's like a paratrooper's assault rifle. It's a small one. That's the only weapon like that I've got. And that was very cheap back in the day. I bought that over 25 years ago. It's missing the bayonet and the carrying strap, and maybe another piece. It's got the sights. It's got the sights still on it. It's a little bit beat up, And the guy that sold it to me said, "Yeah, it's a Chinese rifle. Yeah. We got a bunch in the back. I'll get you a good one." So I guess he brought out the best one he had. It was less than 150 bucks. It's still heavy for its size. I haven't shot it yet. Yeah. Right after I bought it, they had a magazine ban. Yeah, so you couldn't have a detachable magazine on it. So I drilled a little hole and put a when I did yeah, I drilled a little hole in there and I put a screw to make sure the magazine wouldn't come off. Let's see. Keith Ricketts. Hey everybody, it's Tian again. I stole my dad's phone again. He's chasing me around the yard trying to get it back. Blades and points. Hey, let's go. Let's get weird. Sal's in the house. Yeah, now we can start acting all foolish. Jim Cooper says, regardless of the intent, I just knew I've seen single barb stone harpoon points. The stone point itself has only one barb. Well, it has one larger than the other. It's got two barbs and one larger than the other. Yeah, it's asymmetrical, and I guess what they call it in the book is now I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, toggle points, and that's the only place I've seen that term toggle point is in the Overstreet Guide. Yeah. I have bayonets from Saddam's palace. Dang it. Ed Gould says, I got 303 British made. Awesome. As for Corn says, I just use a cleaning rod. Looks just like the bayonet for it. No, I had a chance to buy the bayonet for that Chinese rifle, but I never did. But now they're hugely expensive. You can't even get the darn bayonets for last time I looked, it was like 300 bucks for a good one. I bet you can get a rusted one for cheap, but I don't want that. Peter says, I had a PSL basically like the AK, but scaled up to 7.62 by 54, sort of a bargain basement Dragunov. Not familiar with that. Jesse says, Pat, you ever have any luck flaking grainy stuff with a big hardwood billet? Yeah, I've tried doing the hardwood billet thing with grainy stuff, like oh gosh, like rhyolite. There it goes. Rhyolite and the Tallahassee chert or Tallahassee quartzite. And yeah, you can do it, but once you start getting to a certain size, once it starts getting small, you can't do it anymore. It works when it's really a big piece, and you can get some good flakes with a hardwood billet. I use it for spalling. The hardwood billet is sometimes good for spalling. That's the only time I've ever had luck with a hardwood billet is for spalling. What is this? If you ever had a chance to use the IWI Tavor, you'll love it. It's a favorite in my life. What is that? Is it a World War One you meant? Let's see. As for Corn says, we were born weird. Let's go. Let's see. Hi, Mike. Hope the press box idea helps with those copper caps. Yeah. Alan Young's here. My new favorite is a 12 gauge AR style with 25 round clip. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting an AR shotgun. Now that you mention it, Jim Cooper says, I have my grandfather's Navy Kabar that he was issued in World War II. Yeah, I wish I had some stuff from my grandfather. He was in World War II, but all I got is his duffel bag. Let's see. Jesse says, gonna have fine grained basalt to go with a big billet from ironwood tree. Yeah, it should work pretty good for spalling. That's what I've done with it. David says, I like my Freedom Arms 500. Brennan says, I was just watching some old videos of someone using dogwood on quartz. Yeah, I've seen guys do that. Mike Mason says, the bayonet from Saddam's palaces was traded for from a man wearing ears and fingers on his necklace. Dang. They used to do that in Vietnam too. Let's see. As for Corn says, it's crazy that the Chinese gun parts are expensive, but a human life is cheap as hell there. Yeah. Ralph says, yes, my arthritis hopes so too. All right. Killer Cork says, I had a 1983, my birth year, Mini 14 stainless side folder, A-team style, but sold it because it was so nice. It was too nice for me. Still have the M6 bayonet though. Yeah. The bayonets are cool. Ironwood. Does ironwood equal ocean spray? David's asking. I don't think ocean spray is an ironwood, but I could be wrong. Mike Mason, Illinois outlawed ARs and AKs. There were so many boating accidents that year. Yeah, boating accidents. Yeah. I like my ghost gun a lot. Might be an AR. It might be. Nobody knows. Alan Cole, Tavor is a bullpup. Okay. Was a standard issue of the Israeli Defense Force. Okay. But was it World War IWI? What does IWI stand for? Or did you mean the type IWF or IDF? Let's see. Alan Cole 556. Yeah. I fired many 556. I understand my gut arthritis. As for core, was it Uday or Kusei? Bat sales are down in China, I heard. Ed Gould says, how many have been in Sturgis, where I was born and went to school a long time ago? Mike Mason, Vietnam. Yeah, you never heard stories about Vietnam, these guys wearing ears as on their necklaces? Yeah. War never changes. Just the efficiency of it. Yeah. David says, ocean spray, AK ironwood. Okay, so it is the same thing. Interesting. Let's see. I pity a fool who doesn't like the A-team. Yeah, I used to watch all the episodes. Jim Cooper says, I was more of a MacGyver fan than the A-team. Yeah. I like them both. Ed Gould says 20 millimeter, 3,000 rounds a minute was my gun in the Army, Abrams 163. Yeah, 3,000 rounds a minute. That's a lot. Yeah. The 20 millimeters I have experience with, nowhere near that. It was like, yeah, on the Bradley fighting vehicle. Interesting gun. The automatic feed wouldn't always work, though. That's the problem. Let's see. Israel Weapon Industries, IWI. I see. I'm learning something new every day. Let's see. Jesse says, I'm not sure about the ocean spray. Just know the wood is from the local ironwood trees around here in Arizona. It's dense and gets dark red when it's dried. I see. Let's see. As for Corn says, my dad said they much preferred the Mini 14s to the M16s in Vietnam. He still won't mess with the AR because of its failing when he needed it. Yeah, that will do it. I've never had a failure with a M16. Misfeeds, maybe once or twice. Easy to clear out, though. MacGyver was my nickname in high school, says Mike. Mr. T is awesome. Yeah. Is Mr. T still awesome? Is he still around? Some of these actors, these old time actors that were tough back in the day, they sold out. A lot of them. Hopefully, he didn't sell out. Killer Cork says, I love the A Team and MacGyver. Watched all episodes. MacGyver is still my favorite show to this day. Duct tape, baby. Jim Cooper says, I would agree that Vietnam was the last time that the color orange was as dangerous to people as it is today. I would argue that Vietnam was the last time the color orange. Yeah. Smallzilla's here. Harley. Talking about weaponry, sharing his knowledge like usual. I don't have that much knowledge. I got very, very narrow knowledge in weaponry. Yeah. Tommy Taylor. I have one of them long photos of the whole crew of the USS Indianapolis. My great uncle was on the ship when it went down. He sent it to my grandmother. Really neat picture. Awesome. Peter says, was it the Mini 14 or the M14 in Vietnam? Killer Cork says, never had a problem with the Mini 14. Keith Ricketts says, Jesse, I'm familiar with Ironwood also, and I've never heard it called ocean spray. As for Corn says, they fixed the problem with them. The first iteration didn't like jungle climate. Jim Cooper says, anyone watch the MacGyver reboot from the mid-2010s? No, I missed that one. As for Corn, do you all know about the Galil? Why it's called that? That's one of the Israeli weapons, right? No, Merit, I can never find my 10 millimeter. M14 Vietnam, yeah. Yeah, the M14 was the first rifle that I was taught to break down and reassemble. Jim Cooper, but I was not trained by a Vietnam vet. This was in Sea Cadets. Let's see. Jim Cooper says, blades are my expertise. I recently got to handle a katana from 15th century Japan. Wow. 15th century. That's a really expensive antique, I imagine. I bought a Mosin Nagant when they were surplus in barrels and oil. Bought one 15 years ago, dirt cheap. Those were the days when you could buy the huge tins of surplus, 7.62 by 54 ammo. Yeah. Everything got weird. Yeah. No more good old days. David DiLorenzo, we carried the M4, not the Mini 14. Yeah. Brennan, Go Forth Comedy. I just looked it up. It was Israeli weapons, then Israel military, then bought by Magnum Research. I'm an information hound. As for Corn, apparently the guy, Galil, in Israel, who redesigned the AK, his last name is almost exactly the same as Kalashnikov. Okay, yeah. I heard something about confusion with Kalashnikov on some of these weapons. Yeah. Peter says, yeah, that's what I thought. Mini wasn't around until the end of Vietnam. M14 was Korea. Smallzilla says, I finished my 7-inch blade, Patrick. Went pretty okay, but I got so anxious doing the work in the middle, resulting in a step fracture smokestack. Any tips for cleaning up deep step fractures? Where is it on the point? If it's near the edge, you can just take back the edge right up to the obstacle and then blow it off, blow it out of there. If it's a deep scoop, there's nothing you can do really, especially if it's in the middle. All you can do is get a Dremel tool and grind it off. Yeah. And then flake over the grinding marks. Mosin. Someone was doing a correction on the spelling of the Mosin. I would like to have one of those Mosin Nagant pistols, the ones that they say the trigger is really bad, but um, it seals the chamber that holds around in the revolving piece. It seals it into the barrel, so there's no gas escape on the sides, and you can actually put a suppressor or silencer on the pistol because it has no gassing. It has no gas escape out the sides of the revolver. I was thinking, that'd be cool to have one of those with a suppressor on it. But you can't get them anymore because everyone had that idea. Smallzilla says hello, Noah. Alan Cole says I emailed you a photo of the Tavor and a couple of favorite blades. You're emailing me stuff. Okay, let's see. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Dang. Yeah, bullpup. Dang, those are modern looking blades. Crisscrossed blades. Yeah. And you can see the weapon in the background. Awesome. Let's see. Smallzilla says, it's a middle deep scoop on the blade. Dang it. I got to give my strikes more beans and not chicken out. Yeah. Regardless, I'm happy as it is my biggest blade yet. Good mark for my first year. Yeah, you don't have to worry. If you're in the first year of napping, you got a ways to go. Yep. Killer Cork says, Jim Cooper, nice. They used to test the quality and sharpness of how many prisoners they could cut through. They would stack them. I don't know about that. The Pawn Stars Award has one that went through 7 bodies. Yeah, I've heard about that, but the episode that I saw, I don't know if it was Pawn Stars, but I saw samurai swords and blades. I forget what type of blade it was, cut through pigs. Yeah, pig carcasses. And I saw a guy cut through 3 pig carcasses. That's the farthest he can get. Jim Cooper says some friend had another one from the 18th century that had a poorly done replacement handle, so he had me build another from scratch using traditional techniques, even ordering stingray skin. Nice. Yeah, it's amazing you can order stingray skin still. Jesse says, did the put the flake back up against the step fracture and hit it again? It worked. I was so happy. Nice obsidian blade. Okay, Jesse's Para said he did the put the flake back up against the step fracture and hit it again technique, and it worked. Good. Awesome. Yeah. It's cheating, but it works. I used to not do that because I figured it was cheating. I used to be one of those purists. Brennan says, yeah, katanas at the end of the 15th century began to be shortened for safety and really lost a lot of the reverence they used to hold in Japan. I see. As for Corn says, nice. I like it. Reminds me of the FAMAS. Pawn Star Sword Expert, I meant to say. Jim Cooper said, the bodies thing is true. It's historically documented. Yeah, I believe it. Brennan says, lots of laws went into place to make katanas base tang shorter so they couldn't cut through a soldier anymore. I see. That's weird. Yeah. Brendan says, very cool, Jim. Let's see. As for Corn says, yeah, same. I learned they used to use magnolia wood for the handle and Suba, I think, the scabbard. I have no idea. The flake on the hinge hit trick. Yeah. You know what that is, right? If you hit and you have a broken flake and it ends up in a step fracture, you might be able to put that flake back on there and re-hit the flake, right? Everyone knows about that. If you don't know about that, you got to try it. Put the flake back on and re-hit. Yeah. What time is it? Let's see. We've been on for 1 hour. Very good. Hold on a second. Let me check the emails. All right. No more emails. All right. What else we got here? Talking about katanas. I don't know much about katanas at all. Yeah, I had for a while. I had a friend of mine that wanted to practice um, katana sword fighting, bushido, right? Anyway, we bought some wooden swords until until I hit his knuckle, and then he said, "Okay, we're gonna stop this." I hit one of his knuckles, and he says, "No, we're not gonna do this no more. That really hurts." And I bought the gloves and everything, the fencing gloves, heavy duty. I said, "Dang it, who else is gonna do this? Nobody's crazy enough to practice sword fighting with these wooden swords." Mike Mason says, 1 hour and I haven't got to tell a joke yet. Cooking salmon at the moment. Just got the smoker going. Yeah, post your jokes. I have an 1800s wakizashi. What's a wakizashi? I think Bushido is like the whole code, like chivalry. Oh, okay. Kendo, there it is. That's the practice. That's the martial art. Bushido is a code of ethics. I see. Yeah, yeah. Uh, Iado is the practice of katana with a real sword. It's not It's not kendo. I thought it was kendo is the sword fighting. Maybe I'm wrong. The wakizashi is the real killer, anyhow. As for Corn says, Tom Cruise, that's who's crazy enough. Yeah, when he made that movie, right? The Last Samurai or something. Brendan Goforth says, "Oh hell yeah, Killer Cork." What are you talking about? Alan says, "I'm still tanning hides. What's everyone else up to today?" Uh, let's see. I did some wooden sword fighting in my time. Studied a bit of Aikido, says Mike Mason. Yeah, we just barely got into it. It was like a week or two. And I get all bummed out that we couldn't continue. Iado is the practice, draws, cuts. Kendo is with an opponent. Oh, okay. You draw the sword out and you cut. That's the Ayado or Iado. All right. Interesting. Jesse says, Pat, how sharp is the quartzite point leading edge? Pretty comparable to chert? Yeah, it is comparable to chert. As long as it's fine grained. This particular piece that I just did on the last video is relatively fine grained quartzite. It's not really grainy like this one. This one has got bigger grains and it's more difficult to sharpen. Doesn't feel as sharp. And it's also a little bit thicker on the edges. The one I just did today has thinner edges. Even though it might not be thinner as far as the ratio goes. It might be thinner, but it feels sharper. Yeah. The finer grain it is, the sharper you can get it. Okay. What is bukake? Very different things. Yeah, you guys know all the terminology for these Japanese martial arts. Jim Cooper knows his stuff. Yeah, looks that way. As for corn, yeah, y'all. Tang, so do your own research. Brennan says, damn, Jim Cooper, who are you? Checking your knives out right now. Let's see. Brennan says, my dad was a custom knife maker. Interesting. Smallzilla sent a couple of pictures of my most favorite work so far, Patrick, as well as a photo of the 7-inch blade next to my first ever bottle bottom point. Let's see. Oh, there it is. You got a lot of stuff in here. My phone will download these photos. I click on one to open them up so I can see it up close, and it doesn't do it. All right, here we go. Which one is your blade? It's not in here because you said 7-inch. These are all like 3, right? Or something like that. 4-inch also. Where's the long blade? There's one. It looks like the step fracture is a big one right there. The lower half. Let's see. Or even further down. Yeah, for 1 year of flintnapping, that's pretty good. Especially on steppy material. It looks like it's kind of steppy material. Yeah. Pretty good. Or is it not the right one? Oh, here's one. That's probably it. I misspoke. Where is it? Yeah. I don't know. Where is the step fracture on that? There's a couple on there. One at the very bottom and one up here. That's pretty good. I wasn't not making long blades after 1 year. It took me like 3 to 5 years before I started making long blades. I did have some big material at that time, but I didn't make the long blades until much later. Let's see. What did I miss? You guys are already face snapping, making me hungry. The guy, Mike Mason says, the guy that taught me Aikido almost got to understand the name Gary Palucci. I don't know who Gary Palucci is. Mike Mason, so you're face snapping the grade? Face snapping. Killer Cork, you don't know what face snapping is? Should we tell him what it is? Don't tell him. Jim Cooper says, there are 3 blades common to samurai katana. Is the standard sword size two-handed. Wakizashi is the short sword used single-handedly, and the tanto is the dagger, a weapon of last resort, and a tool of something. Tool used for seppuku. Yeah. Let's see. Where are we here? Just made Jesse says, hey, I just made a bottle bottom point too. Got it nice and thin like a bird point. Awesome. Let's see. Mike Mason says, I gave all the knives I made away, but one. I lost it. My favorite had a highly polished Osage orange handle. Went to a kid in Virginia for his birthday. Awesome. Smallzilla says, I'll send over a reply with some other angles. The ones you saw before were my hornstone points. I took a photo of the blades, good side. Mike Mason says, Ellen, on my way to face snapping for sure. Noah says, making mediocre arrowheads. Noah, you're making mediocre arrowheads? How long you been napping? As for Corn says, he still sucks at big blades. It's okay. Jim Cooper, Though I much prefer European swords and combat systems, much less focus on ceremony and more focus on practicality and versatility. Yeah. Mike says, let's see. Mm-hmm. Brennan says, well, guys, as I always say, 3 a.m. comes early. I'm readying for bed. Readying. That's a tongue twister. Yeah. All right, Brennan. Let's see. Noah says, I made an Abbey stemmed. Hopefully I get it posted in time. Yeah, post. We got time. Let's see. R. Snyder gave away the secret. Yeah, face napping is eating. It's another name for eating. As for Corn says, but I almost always nap free rock, bull gravel, etc. Rarely start with a big cobble. Yeah. It's good to nap free rock. It's the best rock to nap, usually. Even if it's tough. Because it's free. Less stress. There's enough stress as it is with Flintnapping. Ed Gould says, you know what really burns my ass? A burning flame 3 feet high. Just don't stand with your back to it. Jesse says, I'm super good at true arrow points. I learned using glass bottles and waste flakes I found in the desert. Just barely getting better at bigger blades. I got a friend of mine is going to send me a bunch of flakes that he found in the desert. Some real ones. Some real debitage surface finds. I said, cool. I'll look at those. It gives us an idea of what stones they were using in those areas. If they're using stones that they brought in from a long ways away or local stones. A lot of times you can find bits and pieces of stones that you don't know where they came from. As for Corn says, plus they way too big for tipping my river cane arrows. Fly like doo-doo compared to bird points. Yeah, big points on the tips of arrows. Well, it depends on the strength of the bow, I suppose. Mike Mason says, Tanti, the woman's weapon? I haven't heard of that one. Mike Mason says, when is a door not a door? When it's ajar. Yeah. No one knows what ajar means. If you're using the word ajar, you're on the weird side of YouTube or a weird side of the internet. I was in the fencing club in college and loved it. Yeah, that's awesome. College level fencing. My daughter was in fencing, high school level. One of my daughters, and yeah, she liked it too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to know the equipment for competitive fencing. Yeah, she used to get really angry when the equipment wasn't working properly. Yeah, once in a while it messes up. That's what I remember from watching my daughter doing the fencing. Her getting super angry at the equipment. Killer Core says he knows what face napping is. Why did you ask? I missed. Mm-hmm. As for Corn says, nah, we all know where a woman's real what let's see. We all know where a woman's real weapon is. And they carry 24/7, concealed or otherwise. That thing's dangerous. I know where you're going with that. Yeah. How many landlords does it take to fix a light bulb? None. They won't fix the sink either. Noah, Noah says 4 fried chickens and a Coke. 4 fried chickens and a Coke? What is this in reference to? Let's see. Jim Cooper says, though I suppose face napping could also be used to refer to the profiles napped into the Mesoamerican and Mississippian eccentrics and mesas. Oh, yeah, yeah, face profile napping. That's true. Facial profiles, yes. R. Snyder, fencing does seem cool. Yeah. We never had anything cool in my high school. Not like my kids' high school, for some reason, had a lot of good extracurricular activities. When I went to high school, we had like 3. I could have gotten into hockey, uh, track, or we actually had a lacrosse team also. Hockey, lacrosse, and track. I tried out for track, but I died. After a month, I couldn't take it. I'm not a runner. And I didn't want to play those sports, those team sports. Oh, we had baseball too. Yeah. And then the jocks would play everything. It was concurrent seasons, not concurrent. Is it concurrent? No, it's not concurrent. It's every few months there was a different sport, and they just played sports all year round, whatever was available. I was not a jock in school. No, I went to a. Let's see. Smallzilla says I went to a sandbar here yesterday and collected more of that quartzite to heat treat. I found a sweet piece of petrified wood too. I think it's got a nasty spot on one side, but it's free and it's my favorite. As for Corn says, fencing looks so fun. Wish I knew anything about it. You can join fencing clubs. I found out that there's lots of fencing clubs. I don't know where they hide because I never see them unless I'm, going to one of their competitions. Then there's a bunch of guys doing it. I guess it's like nap-ins. You never get to see us nappers do anything unless you go to a nap-in. We hide on the secret side of YouTube and the internet. Jesse says, Pat could get away with putting a larger point on an arrow as his are so thin. Thanks. Yeah. They're lighter when you thin them down for sure. Jim Cooper says, like foil fencing or full on rapiers. Hmm. What did I miss here? Mm-hmm. Ross Wellman. Yeah, just checking in. Been napping Georgetown Flint all day. Good fun. I'm glad you liked the Georgetown. I hope you got good quality stuff. The last batch of Georgetown I got was pretty bad, but that was my fault. I said, yeah, just give it to me. It was free, and it was pretty bad, but free is good. It takes the sting off or whatever you call it. As for Corn says, equipment failure really foiled her plans, huh? Yeah, well, you're scored by points, and if your equipment's not working properly, or if the other person's equipment's not working properly, and the buzzer doesn't work, you got to do it. You got to do over, and that would really get her ticked off. uh, let's see. Da-da-da-da-da. Ellen Cole says, "Yeah, this one time at band camp, la la la." I remember that. I remember that movie. All right, where am I? As for Corn says, a Coke or some Coke depends on the neighborhood, I'm sure. Yes, indeed. All right, I'm way behind. Bill Taylor says, "Hey, everybody, made it today. Late, but made it. Yes, you did." Bill Taylor's here. As for Corn says, I didn't know that was a type of eccentric. What a cool idea. It's like a silhouette of a person's head, I assume. Yeah, the person's head with the headdress and the face and just weird designs, like almost like wings. Jim Cooper says, you guys keep referring to heat treating quartzite. I've always heard the opposite is true, that it can't be. And that would make sense to me because quartzite is a metamorphic stone already subjected to, yeah, heat. No, you can heat treat quartzite. Yeah. Buzz says we didn't have fencing as a kid. We had guns. hmm Baseball for the win, says Killer Cork. Jim Cooper says high heat and pressure, so I can imagine heat would not do much of anything. Well, quartzite, as far as I know, is not subjected to much heat and pressure. Maybe we're talking about different quartzites. I don't know. I'm not a geologist, so we might, as nappers, might be calling these things wrong. We might be labeling these things with wrong names. Bill Taylor says, "Nice sign, Patrick. I like it." Yeah, thanks. I like it too. Jesse says, "On here too much. Wife asked for a good face snapping last week." Let's see. Mike Mason says we had a home ec class with a busty teacher that wore a next with a big mirror over her so everyone could see her stovetop. Yeah, it was a stovetop we looked at. I had home ec teachers in school, but they were never busty or worth looking at, I suppose. They were all old. I mean, really old. Bill says the sign adds 52.6 charisma points. Let's see. Smallzilla says my old neighbor came over to see what I was doing one day, showed him everything, and he thought it was quite cool. Now, anytime he sees me, he asks, "How's it going, Tonto?" He's a character, yeah. Is it 56.2 or 52.6? It's 50. Let's see. 52.6, I think. It was the first iteration of that joke. It could be both. I might have messed up. Mike Mason says a nex should say V necks. Okay. She wore V necks. Yeah. The teacher was showing off the girls. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I never had any interesting teachers. Mm-hmm. Noah Merritt says the Belushis. As for Corn says, oh, I loved the cross country and track and it was good. Well, I was good until we did the meet at the mostly black school. Yeah, I was so crushed. There's a picture of me in my senior yearbook panting and where's the rest of it? And holding my hips while glaring up and the much taller guy that just soundly defeated me and everyone else in the 100-meter dash. It looked like he'd been in the 8th grade 8 times. Yeah. The shorter the run, the faster I was. So they would put me in, to sprint. Maybe I was in track for 2 months. I was able to go to a meet, and they put me in the shortest sprint that there is. What is that, 100-yard dash? Yeah, I guess that was the shortest distance. Uh, I was always in the top 5 in the sprint, but when it came to long distance, forget it. Jesse says, "Pat, do you have a hand axe with the cortex left on the base?" No, I don't save those. If I had one, I would have already given it away or sold it. I can make one. I've got some stuff. If you need one, just send me an email. I can make one of those. I was supposed to make one for a professor over at Syracuse University, but she never called me back. She sent me a couple messages, but never got back with me. So I had some stuff. I have some stuff set aside for that. I can use one of those if you need it. Let's see. Mhm. I can nap one on video. As for Corn says, foiled because a foil is part of the gear I meant. Bad joke. They don't all land, guys. Yeah. Especially the way I read these comments. If you have a joke in there, I may not even know what's going on. Jeffrey Jin, hey, it's been a while. Let's see. See, these buttons don't work. Ed Gould says, I was going to get on Temu and see about one of those lights. Yeah. The Iowa quartzite is wonky, but it works, says Smallzilla. Only way to make it usable. Super naughty in the center, though. Hard to get a good large piece. Yeah. Ed Gould says, Amazon. Yeah, I bought this one off of Amazon. Alan Cole says, Bill, I can never get it right. Okay. Let me see. As for Corn says, Buzz, we built fencing, though. At least I did. Okay, Jim Cooper says, straight from Google, quartzite is hard, durable, metamorphic rock formed from sandstone or chert rich in quartz that has been subjected to heat and pressure. Yeah, we've probably been misnaming the quartzite because you can heat treat it and it'll affect it. Normally, it wouldn't affect it if it's already been exposed to heat. I mean, but if I heat treat this stuff, either one of these, it would respond to it. Yeah, as far as I know. The only time I've not had a good response from quartzite is when it has really, really heavy grains, or it's the clear stuff. Really large, blocky grains in it, then it doesn't respond to heat. But if it's a fine-grained quartzite, it'll respond to heat treatment. R. Snyder, oh yes, I like the sign. Yeah, thanks. Let's see. As for Corn says, let me see. I'm going to skip over the parts where you guys talk to each other. Let me see. What is this? Yeah, but that applies to all rock. The high part is subjective. I don't know what that is reference to. As for Corn says, no, the 40. The trick to the 100-meter is holding your breath. There's a 40-yard dash. The trick to the 100-meter is holding your breath. Yeah, I suppose so. I don't remember back that far. I don't know what I did. Let's see. As for Corn says, also having your dad in the stands yelling at you. Yeah, my parents never attended any of my events. Well, the only event that my father attended was my high school graduation, and my mother never attended anything that I did at school. So, no one was yelling at me in the stands whenever I would do anything. Yeah, but it didn't last very long. The only extracurricular activities that I would do would be art projects. Like once in a while, the band. No, not the band. It was one of the proms. The prom coordinators asked me to do a couple of murals after school. My mom says, where are you going, Patrick? I'm going to go to school to paint something for one of these groups. Make sure you don't stay till after dark. Okay, I won't. It's a long ways to walk. I know. Let's see. Let's see here. Mike Mason says, I usually tied with a varsity runner during PE coach begged me to join track. I see. I had a very unstable childhood and never did it. Smallzilla says, got any 3D printed sign requests for the background? I'd be happy to help. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one sign. Yeah, I could put that back here too. I don't know. I don't know what sign to put up here other than, one of the sayings, snap in half-ish or something. Do a fish that snapped in half and then underneath say snap in half-ish. Something like that. Jim Cooper says, okay, guys, I did a little more digging, and orthoquartzites are sedimentary and bound together similar to chalcedony, so heat makes sense. Metaquartzite is metamorphic and does not heat treat. Okay, good to know. And something I'll probably forget tomorrow. Jesse says, I will email you. Would love to make a display with the Paleo hand axe Georgetown with the cortex on the back round for handhold. Okay. Yeah, send me an email to remind me, Jesse. Jeffrey says, what's the scheduled times for these live streams? It's Monday during the auction from 6 to 8 p.m. Wednesdays 2 to 4 p.m. and Fridays 8 to 10 p.m. and it's all Eastern time. But I put the schedules now in the description box of the live stream videos. And I also put a link to the video that I did that has the schedule. Yeah. I should put a sign back there because I got it up here. Let me go get it. Hold on. Yeah, let me go get the sign that has the times on it. I should put it back behind me. Okay. Monday, 6 to 8 p.m., Wednesday, 2 to 4 p.m., Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. These are all Eastern time. Yeah. I should put this back here somewhere. But everything I put back here falls down. And you can't see it. Yeah. Yeah, I got a spall before it goes to the roaster or the center is so disagreeable. As for corn, I put a brick in the middle of my turkey roaster now. Just a regular brick, or you can put a stone. That way there's nothing in the middle. So you're only heating stuff around the outside. So try putting a brick in the middle of your turkey roaster so you don't have anything in the middle. But I don't know if you mean that as the middle, or you're talking about spalling flakes off the outside of the nodules and you don't bother with the middle. Let's see. Oh, you got to spall it. Let's see what it says here. Yeah, I got to spall before it goes in the roaster or the center is so disagreeable. Yeah, I interpreted that to mean the center of the roaster is disagreeable for heat treating. So you spall it so that the heat distributes evenly, but that's probably not a good interpretation. Jesse, yeah, you know the schedule, right? Yeah. You know when it starts. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6, 2, and 8. Yeah. But remember, it's Eastern times. Noah Merritt says, my baseball team went 20-0, then went to the playoffs and lost every game. Dang. Oh, I forgot to say it. When I was all through high school, almost, I was in Boy Scouts. So I would go to extracurricular Boy Scout activities and on the weekends for camping. First 2 years of high school. After the last 2 years of high school, I was not in Boy Scouts. But yeah, I was in Boy Scouts for 4 years or something like that. And that's where my interest in Native American stuff also took another leap, I guess. I was interested in Native American stuff before the Boy Scouts, but after participating with the Boy Scouts, it got even deeper as far as my interest in Native American stuff. Yeah. I forgot to mention that before. Someone asked me, what got you interested in all this? And I forgot to mention Boy Scouts. But we would never do anything craft like. It was all ceremonies and dances and studying the lore and that kind of thing. during the campouts. Let's see. Yeah, someone just R. Snyder noticed there's no trolls tonight. They're probably just watching. Yeah. But if there's no trolls, that's okay. Let's see. Mike Mason says, I asked my boss if I could take off early the other day. He said, so long as I can make up the time. I said, sure. It's 14:30 Z. What is that? Jim Cooper says, so things like the Spanish diggings, Tallahatta, and Hickston silicified. Hickston, yes, is technically orthoquartzite as opposed to what I had in my mind being like the Antietam quartzite varieties. Yeah, Hickston silicified sandstone can be heat treated as well. And that's the name that I was struggling with trying to remember other than Tallahatta. Hickston. Yeah, I've worked Hickston. It's very nice when it's high grade and when it's heat treated. And Tallahatta, I thought that I was sent just heat treated Tallahatta, but it turns out it's high grade raw Tallahatta. I had never knapped any of that stuff, and it's really good actually for a quartzite. Buzz says we have a lot of quartz points and such here in southeast Oklahoma. Interesting. As for Corn says the egg-shaped translucent white quartzite that may or may not be found in commercial flower beds is a decent soft medium hammerstone. Yeah. I found some hammerstone quartzite or what looked like quartzite at Hobby Lobby the other day. In those little aquarium bags. Those nylon net bags that have the rocks in them. Some of those can be used for hammerstones. Go to Hobby Lobby and you'll see what I mean. Mike Mason says, oh yeah, sweet sign. I just noticed, huh? Ed Gould, we had to run all the time in the Army, 3 to 5 miles every day. Dang, in boots and in company formations, yeah. But for some reason, the boots never bothered me. And running in formation is usually a little bit slower than running to run, for training on a physical fitness test. Let's see. Jim Cooper says in Virginia are metaquartzite and not affected by heat, but is still fairly fine grained, so it can be knapped. But the lower silica prevents any fine finish flaking. Ed Gould says, now I can barely walk 10 feet. Oh, that's not good. Alan Cole says, Patrick, have you seen the telepathy tapes? I'm currently watching, and it's pretty remarkable. It's about autism and telepathic abilities. No, I haven't seen that. Never heard of telepathy tapes. Is that something that they did experiments with in the 60s or something? That's what it sounds like. I don't know. I'm guessing. Killer Cork says, anyone nap any good lake rocks? Thinking I could find something beach hunting worthwhile in Lake Michigan, Huron, or Superior. Chert, Jasper Agate. There are lake rocks that you can nap, and I think it's Esopus Jasper or something like that. No, Esopus Chert and similar varieties. Esopus. ESOPUS. I think that's how you spell it. If I'm not mistaken, I could be mistaken. As for Corn says, oh yeah, if your dad's drunk and threatening you spilling beer on the other spectators, you perform a little better. Plenty of reasons not to motivate with fear, but it's effective for running fast. That's funny. As for Corn says, it doesn't explode, or do you use a fire brick? I just use a regular brick. It didn't explode. Yeah. I meant the center of the cobble is very hard compared to the material closer to the cortex. Yeah. Okay. But in case you didn't know, in case everyone, if you didn't know also, I now use a brick in the center of my turkey roaster, and it's never blown up. but it probably would be safer to use a fire brick just in case. I use a brick that's found here. Uh, we can pick up bricks for free next to the river where the old mill is, because it's been something was demolished there, and there's brick everywhere on the bank, bricks in pieces, like it was demolished. But it's now a beach, and it's got granite and quartzite and brick. Yeah, which is funny, but that's what I'm using. The newer bricks might not work right. I don't know. Mike Mason says, Killer Cork. I've been searching around Carlisle Lake, Illinois. Can't say I find a lot that's good, but I have got one decent one and never finished out because I want it the size it is. Ah. Okay, there is a troll now within the chat. Yeah, you had to ask Ralph. Killer Cork, Mike Mason, what type of stone? Alan Cole says, you jinxed it, Ralph. Yep, you jinxed it. Let's see. Ed Gould says, I've been on oxygen for about 10 years now. Yikes. Don Reed, I've heard of duct tapes. That caught me off guard there. Mike Mason, it's a white gray shirt. Jim Cooper says, you poor Eastern guys having to rob landscape stone for hammerstones. That's one thing I have in abundance. Go down the river and you've got everything from hardest to the softest to closest to choose from. Yeah, I can find hammerstones, but they're always crumbly. Yeah. There's nothing out here really good for napping. Let's see. Ask for Corn says, I heard about that from Jacques Vallée the other day on Rogan. Fascinating info on telepathy, I thought. So Jacques Vallée, let's see. Excuse me while I write something down. I'm going to watch that because I was just watching Joe Rogan earlier today. Let's see if I can find that one. Not that I am into telepathy type stuff, but anything having to do with autism, I usually try to watch if it's interesting. Okay, I got that written down. Fascinating on info on telepathy, I thought, and I'm very skeptical with all that woohoo stuff. Yeah, me too. Mike Mason says, I see a lot that looks the same, but doesn't have a nice edge. Got one, though, that lets the light through the edges. Jim Cooper says, in Michigan, there are agates and jaspers, but most of the material there was glacial deposit, so good luck finding a consistent supply of anything. Yeah. Killer Cork says, Bayport Chert along Saginaw Bay, Lake Huron, thumb areas of Michigan. Oh, the thumb area of Lake Huron. Okay. So he's revealing a spot where you can find some Bayport Chert. How does that nap? Alan Cole says, it's more recent. Family studies with the autistic offspring reading parents' minds, mainly done with nonverbal or minimal verbal autistic individuals. It's worth watching for sure. Okay, yeah. Let's see. S for Corn says, yeah, most brick is notoriously good at retaining moisture. What you're picking up is probably the old Chicago brick, not the same problems like a modern typical queen size brick. Okay, yeah, that's probably it. Keith Rickett says, sounds like Patrick's favorite granite, quartzite, and demolished bricks. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, my favorite is all the crap. Killer Cork says, thanks, Ralph. Heard of that watching Rob Michigan Rocks channel on YouTube. Michigan Rocks channel. I don't remember that channel. Got to check it out. Jesse says, been saving all my waste flakes for study, and I have a high platform. If I have a high platform, we'll lay a flake the same width on the biface Look at the curve of the waste flake, and I can almost tell if it will overshoot. Hmm. Let's see. Jesse says, seems like the curved angle of the flakes remains pretty consistent. Yeah. Well, it depends on the material. Some material it gets very curved. Yeah. And some material doesn't curve much at all. Like the quartzite, this quartzite, or both of these, the flakes were not that curved. But I've napped other points of this size, and the flakes go, they dive right in right away. And it seems to have to do with the glass-like properties. The more glass-like it is, the more curvy the flakes. Mike Tuff says the reason why Michigan is shaped like an oven mitt is because their college football team cannot handle the heat from Ohio State Buckeyes. Mike Mason says Patrick will be mind napping Georgetown next week. Yeah, that would be awesome. Mm-hmm. Don Reed says, have you ever heat treated in the ground? Yes. It didn't work that well for me. What I did was I built a fire first, and I, in the hopes that I would dry the ground up, which it did. It dried the ground up a lot. So I scraped the fire off. I burned it for like 4 hours on the spot that I was going to heat treat. Burned a big fire to dry out the ground. Then I dug out about 2 inches. I pushed away all the ash and all that stuff. Then dug down about 2 inches. And then I put the rocks in, and then an inch of dirt, and then the ash back on there. So I guess it's like a half inch of ash, and then built another fire. And I was just kind of winging it. And I think I didn't build it high enough. I didn't want to ruin the rocks. So when I took everything out, it burned for like 2 hours or so, maybe 3 hours. I don't remember. I took everything away, and the rocks hardly ever were affected at all, and under a 1 inch of dirt. So I don't know. I didn't want to try it again because I said, if it's not going to work this easily, I'm going to mess it up. I'd rather just use a turkey roaster because I have very limited amounts of stone. But yeah, I've heat treated it in the ground, but it didn't work. Not for me. I would need a lot more testing. I could probably make it work because I have some friends that have done it and have success with it. Yeah, mind napping would be awesome, says Jesse. Yeah. Okay, Jim Cooper says you missed my soapstone message. Yeah, I skipped over a bunch of stuff because my eyes were starting to get googly eyed. I couldn't figure out what was going on. Anyway, if I missed it, tell me what it is again about the soapstone. Mike Mason says, Killer Cork, I have some short videos. The rocks were from the lake rocks I found. You can make fun if you want. But when I did, that was my first time getting back into napping in almost 20 years. Awesome. Tell me what napping was like 20 years ago. Because everyone was using big tools, big boppers, big hammerstones, big antlers. Killer Cork says, yes, that's great rockhound for sure, Ralph. Mike Mason. Jesse says, yeah, comparing waster flakes on napping, the same material. Ralph says, Rob from Michigan Rocks channel is about collecting tumbling stones. Oh, okay. Jim Cooper says, I heat treat in the bottom of my wood stove. Yeah, I think you've mentioned that one before. Killer Cork says, Mike Mason, I'll have to check that out. Yeah. Let's see, Patrick inspired me to get back into it, says Mike Mason. Now I do a lot of bottle bottom glass. Cool. Don Reed says, I've used DC method twice. It's come out fine. What is the DC method? Mm-hmm. If you guys use abbreviations with me, I never get them right. I mean, sometimes I do if it's obvious, but if you use abbreviations or I try to remember that one that was used earlier. Expressions, I usually don't get them correct. Let's see. Ellen Cole says if Patrick figures out psychic powers, he needs to remote view the fire obsidian outside a claim for me. Yeah, but yeah, Ellen Cole, yeah, you've sent me a lot of stuff. So yeah, definitely I would remote view that stuff for you. As for Corn says, I don't find any way to predict my overshot dive and tear off the opposite side of the workpiece flakes. Sometimes I get them and sometimes I get lucky. Maybe it hit too hard. Maybe I was holding the piece too stiff, resisted the strike too much with the left hand. I never know for sure. Just got to keep trying until my luck holds out long enough to finish a good one. Yeah, after a while you get to figure out that if you hit a certain way, it will overshoot. So you back off. Yeah, backing off is difficult though because when you do, you run the risk of step fracturing. Yeah, or not getting the flake you want at all. It's a very fine, subtle tweak. That's the difference between overshot and not overshooting. Yeah. Keith Ricketts says, I was napping 20 years ago, then stopped. Just recently got back into it, having to relearn everything. Patrick inspired me to get back into it also, but man, I suck. But yeah, tell me what it was like 20 years ago. Because what I've seen when I first started napping, and this was now, I guess, 14 or 15 years ago. 15 years ago, everyone was using big tools, big boppers, big pieces of antler, big moose boppers, and big copper boppers, and big copper hammers, and big hammerstones. And they were not doing the small stuff, and they were not using the ishi sticks like a you know, like the indirect sticks or anything like that, like they use now. Uh, so I'm just wondering how they would do the small stuff. I think they were doing it all with only pressure flaking, with little maybe a smaller size bopper and just a pressure flaker to do the small stuff. Because when I first got into napping, and I saw people's small points, they were all thick. Yeah, and I didn't want to make thick small points, so I had to come up with some kind of other technique. Let's see. Slang, I think, is what you mean. Yeah. If you come up with slang terms or abbreviations, I usually don't pick up on it correctly and I don't interpret it correctly. R. Snyder says, is that DC Waldorf, the napper that wrote napping books and Chips magazine? Mm-hmm. Yeah, DC Waldorf, among others. I don't know if you're referring to a previous. Oh, DC. I've used DC method twice. It's come out fine, says Don Reed. Yeah, DC might be DC Waldorf, but Don, you've got to let me know what that meant. That DC. Mike Mason says, "Oh, 20 years ago, I had very limited knowledge of tools. I only knew about indirect, but never got info on it. I could have done so much so better. I was a pressure flaking fool, but loved to spall." Let's see. As for Corn says, or remote view the crude natural gas formations beneath property that's on the market currently. We'll start a firm and make a fortune on the leases. Oh yeah. If we could remote view the hidden oil and gas, that would be awesome. Keith Ricketts says, for me, it was 90% hammerstones and yes, big everything. Okay. Yeah, I remember that. Mike Mason says, uh, gave my little brother all my spalled flakes and didn't learn like he did. I just wanted to make big ones from direct. I see. Don Reed says, yes, that's the guy. I have the whole series of Chips magazine. Okay. So DC Waldorf has detailed how to heat treat stone in the ground. Is that what you mean? Bill Taylor says, Patrick totally inspired me to learn how to nap, and I'm very grateful. Thank you, Patrick. Well, you're very welcome. Yeah, I mean, you're already uh, well ahead of a lot of people. As for corn, I've noticed the same thing. Even DR's points that I've seen were pretty darn thick. Yeah. Keith Ricketts says, my points were thick back then. Now they are spherical. Jim Cooper says, okay, going to try to rephrase New England large soapstone deposits. Okay. Jim Cooper says, okay, going to try to rephrase New England large soapstone deposits, but could have as best toss in it. Mike Mason, Keith Ricketts, I am doing better than ever. Don Reed says, yes, it's in one of his books. Okay, I see. I don't think I have anything by DC Waldorf other than what do I have from DC Waldorf? I can't remember. No, I can't remember. I think I have one slim publication from DC Waldorf. I don't know what it is. It's not a big book. Let's see. As for Corn says, not a criticism though. Hell, the vast majority of the points I found are thick as hell. Yeah. You can tell the stems are just the remnants of one of their early bulbs of percussion. Yeah. That they oriented the profile of the point around. As for Corn says, he meant DC's points. Oh, I see. Killer Quirk says, yes, got to give Patrick props for inspiring me as well. Great napper for sure. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. I try. I still haven't got the ability to do those Cody points yet. R. Snyder. Hi, Don. I followed anything that DC did. Videos, books, and magazines. His wife did all the napping illustrations for his books and posters. Yeah. I have a DC Waldorf book that has some of those sketches, but it's not that thick. I'm pretty sure I have one. Or I borrowed one and don't have it anymore. Jim Cooper says, my message wouldn't seem to post because you would skip directly over it multiple times. Made me think it wasn't you because it was consistent. Yeah, I didn't see any of the soapstone comments, if that's what you're talking about, except one soapstone comment just recently right here, somewhere. Right here. I'm going to try to rephrase New England large soapstone deposits. Yeah, I didn't see anything else as far as soapstone goes. Keith Ricketts says, Mike Mason, sweet. Maybe one day I'll be decent. I just love seeing my son get into it. Yeah. Yeah, you'll get decent if you just keep up doing the same thing over and over again until you get different results. Yeah. Let's see. Jesse says, I agree. Patrick's videos help me greatly. I never clicked the whole angle thing until I saw his indirect videos. Now even my direct percussion is even better understanding the angles. Awesome. I'm glad it helps. Yeah. Jim Cooper, that's what I was trying to say. Just don't know why that would be flagged. Oh, I guess some of your comments were erased, Jim, or didn't post. Yeah. Don Reed says, R. Snyder, I picked up the whole series of chips at a nap-in at their auction. Paid $90 for them. Wow. For the whole collection. Pretty good. R. Snyder, The Art of Flintnapping. I think that's the book you have. Yeah, I think that's probably it. Keith Ricketts says, insanity. Oh, what are you referring to? I don't know. Astro Corn says, I second that, Bill Taylor. I was already trying to nap for years before discovering this channel, but it was trying the under the need indirect technique that finally helped me to improve. Cool. Awesome. Making terrible turtlebacks. Oh, helped you improve beyond making terrible turtlebacks. Jim Cooper says, anyone been to the Buffalo Bill Museum in Cody, Wyoming? It's a multi-level football stadium sized building. The bottom floor is nothing but a massive gun library. Well, I had never been there. R. Snyder, that's a good deal. That's a great deal, Don. Yeah. Yeah, just practice. Practice on the napping, you'll get a lot better. And of course, once you get consistent stone or work with consistent material, so you know if it's you or the material that's messing up, you'll get better faster. Yeah. All right, guys. I think we have like 6 minutes left on the live stream, so I'm gonna sign off in 6 minutes. So, last minute questions or say goodnight or whatever. We'll goof around the last 6 minutes. Ed Gould says Bob Patton and George Stewart were some of my local buddies. Yeah, I've got a book by Bob Patton. It's like Old Tools, New Eyes or something like that. And I did talk to Bob a couple times online, but I was trying to criticize some of the stuff he was saying, and he didn't like it. Yeah, he came up with some ideas that I have an engineering background, right? And he was doing some kind of engineering formulas for the speed required to remove certain kinds of flakes. And I said, I don't think this is right, Bob. And but of course, I wasn't nice about it back in those days. I was more of a troll back in those days. So he didn't like me. I have a feeling not many people like me. If they know me from back in the day when I first started uh, first started lurking around the napping forums. Yeah. Mike Tufts. Hey, the last 5 minutes of the live stream on air sign needs to start blinking. Okay, let's see. If I can reach it with my foot, there's a switch. No, can't reach it. Let's see. How's that? I got the switch is down there next to the plug. It's got to be up here closer so I can go back there and start switching it. Yeah, 2 more minutes. Well, I got 4 minutes left. Let's see. Do people ever hunt in the U.S. with transverse or oblique arrowheads? Are they allowed to be used? I watched an experiment with them on ballistic gel, and it was surprising. I was surprised with the results. Scott Lauer asks, no, in most areas, you've got to have an arrowhead that looks like a broadhead or a point. So it's not legal in many states. Now, some states have no restrictions at all on the shape of arrowheads for deer. Okay, so most people are hunting for deer. Now, you can use transverse arrowheads for non-game animals like coyotes and rabbits and squirrels and stuff, but I've not seen anybody use them for that. It's just not popular here in the U.S. I imagine there's some people that do. As for corn, same thing helped me improve. Cool. Let's see. Jim Cooper says, do you like humor writing, Patrick? There's an author you might like who writes humorous short stories about growing up in Idaho in the 40s, hunting and fishing, and his views on the world. Actually, I don't read much. I don't know if you've heard me mention this, but reading for me is an uphill battle. I can read for about 10 minutes, and then to read more than that after 30 minutes, I feel like I'm almost totally exhausted, and then I can read for maybe 30 minutes more before I totally die. So reading for me is an uphill battle. And reading the comments like this also uh, after 2 hours of doing this, my brain is pretty much fried, which is good because then I can go to sleep easier. But yeah, reading for me has always been an uphill battle. I'll listen to books all day long, but reading them is something I don't usually do. And humor is not something I usually read. So it's either got to be complete fantasy, like Lord of the Rings, as an example, or very technical, data driven studies. It has to be the one of extreme, pure facts or pure fantasy. Anything in between, I don't like it. Yep, I don't like it. um, let's see. Let's see. Mike Mason says, "Man, it took forever to get free enough to chat with y'all, so it's worth it." Yeah. Let's see. Killer Quirk, enjoy the live stream as always. Good night. All right. Good night. I'm going to say good night to everybody. We got like 1 minute left. Good night. Good night. Good night. Yes. Yes. It's just influencing oscillation. I don't know what that is. Do you nap in your dream state? Asked Dawn Reed. Yes, actually, the last dream I had about napping, I was actually doing some napping, where usually I'm looking for rocks. Uh, but at this last time I was napping. Yeah. But you know how dreams go, it goes from one thing to another. So it was not all connected. It was just for some reason I was sitting there napping and then that changed to something else. But a lot of times I'll dream about trying to find rocks. And the stuff I usually end up finding is that black butter, obsidian, or dacite. So that's why I'm calling it my favorite, because it obviously, if I'm dreaming about it, it must be my favorite. What is this here? I'm missing a bunch of comments. Let's see. Mike Mason says Illinois, you have to have 7/8 inches wide. Pretty sure there's a minimum length too. Uh, well, when I've looked into it, there wasn't usually a minimum length, but yeah, minimum width of 7/8 is was pretty standard. But a lot of states have changed their archery laws, so you got to look up your latest updates. Bill Taylor says, "I'm glad I made it this time. Talk to you next time. Not leaving, but saying goodbye." All right, let me get through all the comments and then I'll say goodnight. Mike Tuff says, "Oh yeah, if you guys want to know about doming the copper caps, I have a video." Yeah, I saw that video. It's pretty good, because you'll see the whole set of different dyes and whatever you call them. I didn't know that they sold a whole set like that at Harbor Freight for doming these caps. It's interesting, and that kind of thing. Make sure you watch Mike's video. 20 more minutes, please, says Ralph Snyder. My brain is fried already. Killer Cork says, "Hey, Patrick, we've noticed. I still love you, buddy. I suck at writing sometimes." Yeah, you've noticed that I can't read very well. Atlanta Bob's Atlanta Bob, not Bobcat. I missed that previous comment, I guess. Jim Cooper says, "This guy is different, though. I really think you would enjoy this guy. Very dry humor, similar to what I've seen you laugh." Okay, well, if it's dry humor, yeah, I might enjoy it. Yeah. Justin says, "Patrick, and all thanks for the live." Oh, you're welcome. Good night, everyone. Everyone's saying good night. Mr. Crazy, dang, I missed the live. Yeah, you'll have to join us on Monday, 8 to, no, 6 to 8 p.m. Yeah. There's no napping. We kind of goof like this too during that live stream, but it's during the auction. So if you have trouble with the auction on Monday and I'm on the live chat, you can kind of communicate with me live. So I think that might help people. Although there hasn't been much problem lately as far as getting comments seen and all that on the auction. I'm reading something here. Friday Night Live. Yes. Astrocorn says, Thin, you missed my revision 1 on that Laddle guy being pissed at me. Mike Mason says, Dream state napping is the gateway to mind napping. Mark my words. Living Life says, how do I know? I don't know. Astrocorn says, my comment, not revision. Sorry, I suck at typing. That's okay. I'm not good at reading, so. R. Snyder, that's a great video, Mike. Yeah. Let's see. Jim Cooper says, I'll send you a link with some YouTube clips of this short stories that, okay, yeah, send me the link. Yep. As for Corn says, this is so much better than SNL. Well, good. I'm glad you think so. All right. It's 10:03. I'm going to sign off. We'll see you on Monday. Yeah, Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern. The live streams are 2 hours. And I'll put the schedule in the bottom here in the description box when I update this video. Yeah, because after the live stream, I try to update the description or the title if I've messed up. And I'll put in the schedule now with every live stream. Living Life says, just seeing this and I'll have to tune in for your next lives. Yeah, here's the schedule. For those of you who are just tuning in, that's the schedule. I got 3 live streams a week. Monday 6 to 8, Wednesday 2 to 4, Friday 8 to 10, and these are all Eastern times. All right, so Central Time is 1 hour earlier than this, and so forth and so on. All right, okay. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Yes, says Justin. Screenshot. Yep. Screenshot. You did it. Awesome. All right. Good night, guys. Thank you very much for participating. As always, I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.